Good afternoon, everyone. Live from Silicon Valley, California, this is Spiritual Fitness with your host, Vaish, a veteran Bhakti yogi, author, and former monk, and myself, JM. Spiritual Fitness is a program dedicated to exploring the timeless texts and practices of Bhakti Yoga for people who want wisdom in their everyday life. We have close to 10 members on Zoom. I am sure people are just joining in after their meetings, and close to 50 members on Facebook. I have Anushri helping me out in managing social media today. Good afternoon, Vaish. Welcome to Spiritual Fitness today.
Oh, thanks, JM. Good to see you.
Same here.
And good to be here with everybody. Hi there, Subhadra. Good to see you. Brandon, Anushri, Sheila, McGuire, Luba, Bonnie, Marcella, welcome back. Thank you. So today, I'm going to go into a topic that maybe we can relate to during this time. I was thinking the other day about the various ways that the world is affected. There seems to be, at least here where I live in California, several things going on at the same time. There's noticeably some concern about pandemic, which is kind of new to me. I have never been through a pandemic, at least not one that I noticed. I know if anybody else on here has been through one, unless you're in I could think the last one was in 1968 or something, but I didn't even know about it. And so that's been quite absorbing, I think, for the world. It's been a huge topic, right? And then in California, there are fires going on, and that normally you hear about them, and it's quite concerning. But now everyone sort of has more awareness, at least in my area, because the whole place is filled up with smoke. Earlier last month, there was smoke everywhere, and now it's back. It went away for a little while, and all the related issues, the repercussions that are coming from those and other kinds of things tend to lead towards what seem to be maybe a little more than usual, but maybe not, turbulent times. But there's always something that that can seem turbulent, right? Does anybody else notice that it's maybe somebody turned up the dial a little bit on the turbulence meter? Or is it just me? Anyone? Subhadra, what are you feeling down there in Southern California?
It's pretty turbulent. My mother just came down with COVID, so it's feeling real to me now.
Yeah, it's come home, right? I'm sorry to hear that. I wish her all the best, and you too. And during those very real interactions with the way of the world, how do we deal with them? It's actually one of the subjects of the wisdom literatures because it's very practical. What do we do to get through the various duties we have to do to live life? We can't just go off to a cave and meditate, right?
No, Raj and Sheila say they're maxed out.
Maxed out. Okay. I mean, not okay, but I'm saying thanks for pointing that out. And I think a few people I've heard here and there feel a little maxed out. There's one too many thing going on at the same time. So we'll talk about that today, like how to stay balanced and keep your head during these turbulent times. Ancient secrets, how to rise above fear and anxiety. Does that sound good? So let's just start off with in our usual way, or I should say unusual, by doing a little bit of introspection or meditation. And if you'll sit up a little straighter than you were just a second ago, you'll notice that your mind comes to attention, and close your eyes and take a little time to shield your poor eyes from the light coming off of the screen for a little bit, and kind of just give them a rest and look inwardly, and then breathe, and then stay alert so you can watch and see what's going on. And as you breathe, notice your breath. It's something that you can do at any given time to help calm down and get centered. It's just to stop for a minute and notice your breath. And another stage of noticing is to have gratitude for your breath. We're dependent on it. It's being supplied. And just keep your mind coming back to the breath. And when it goes off somewhere else, bring it back. And mentally think in when you inhale, and mentally think out, or mentally say out when you exhale. And now, notice your overall internal condition. Sometimes people ask us, how do you feel? How are you feeling? Because we're sentient, we do have feelings, we have sentiments, we have senses, we can feel things, which is amazing. So notice right now, if you can, how you are feeling. Can you detect anything? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel bliss? Be aware of your own feelings. Throughout the day, feelings will come and go. We might hear something and feel angry, wish we could do something about it. We may hear something else and feel fearful and wonder, can I do anything about that? We may see something and feel joyful. All these emotions are coming and going like waves in the ocean all day long, and even when we sleep. And notice that you are the one watching the feelings within. You're a witness. And as such, you are not your feelings. They're like waves that come in the ocean of your chitta, your mind space, just like a substance, like the ocean. Subtle ocean of your mind. The tide goes out, tide comes in. There's weather on the ocean. Sometimes it's cloudy. Sometimes it rains. Sometimes it's sunny. So similarly, we have an internal weather condition. And you're simply the weather reporter, looking and seeing what's the condition today. And now we'll just bring a little higher energy into our conscious mind space by saying together behind muted mics the one syllable mantra from the Rig Veda, thousands of years old, a mantra which is a synchronizing mantra. It helps us go to the core of who we are. This sound vibration is said to be already vibrating within the chakra that's at the base of the spine. And when we vocalize it, it helps to move that energy up through our whole mental system. So I'll say the mantra 3 times, and you can repeat it with me. And just notice for a moment that when you introduce the vibration of the mantra, it goes in your ears, enters into your chitta, and it adds a different kind of energy. And by practicing this mantra meditation to start the day, you can synchronize the energies within. You can also feel a sense of awareness that you're watching what's going on inside, even as you move about the world. And now bring your attention back to your breath. And then rub your hands together to create a little friction and become aware of your external body and frame. Open your eyes and come back into the room. And the first item on the list I have for today for achieving this kind of balance amidst so many distracting circumstances in our lives is meditation. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit differently today, a way in which the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras, talks about it in a very practical way, and that is your work as meditation. This is called karma yoga. Karma means action. We're always acting. Even when we sleep in our subtle body, we're moving. We're going here and there, meeting people, flying in the sky, going in the ocean. And when we awaken in the morning, our eyes are moving, mind is moving, our legs start to move, hands, we move about the world. This is from the word in Sanskrit, kri, which means to work. And karma goes with the word yoga when you're working for a higher cause. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a question by the student to the teacher. The student is named Arjuna and the teacher is named Krishna. So Arjuna says, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How do they speak and what is their language? How do they sit and how do they walk? So it's not that just when we're sitting in meditation that we can feel transcendence, but even as we move about, interact, talk, speak, do our work, whether it's on a computer or laying bricks or any other kind of work, we can remain in that state of centeredness, of balance through what's called karma yoga. So one of the first aspects that's important in this concept is what's called dharma. Dharma means to do your duty. It comes, and the word duty comes from the word dyu, which means the force of that which is morally right. There are values that we have that we consider unassailable. For instance, in the Constitution of America, there's a sense in which equality is valued. We say we should give everyone, we have an equal eye on everyone. Everyone has an equal opportunity. This is the idea. It's a metaphysical concept because it's beyond the physical world that has all kinds of varieties in it. So we have a sense naturally for this, these principles, like compassion is also a metaphysical feeling. And duty means to do what's right, doing the right thing, even when it doesn't give you immediate happiness. That's another definition. So there's a way in which when we're doing duty, we're doing what's morally right. This is a kind of dharmic action. And as it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Nityam Jagne Pratishtitam. So Pratishtitam means to be situated somewhere. And Yagne is an interesting word. It means to do the right thing. Not that necessarily what feels good right now, but you're doing the right thing for a higher cause. And in this case, it's you're working for a higher cause. And what is the result? Brahma. You experience your spiritual nature through your work. Very interesting concept. So doing dharma or doing your duty, working for a higher cause, that is, leads to poise and balance, because the poise comes from a natural awareness of who I am, that I'm not this body, I'm not the mind, I'm beyond that. And according to the ancient Vedas, we all have what's called a Sanatan Dharma. There are individual dharmas that we do, prescribed duties. Everyone has a certain kind of work that they are doing, but all of us have a kind of universal. Sanatan means it's perpetual, it's always there for everybody, a kind of inherent dharma that we have, and that is called seva or service. So when we're aligned with the dharma and we're doing our duty, then there's a sense of natural poise or balance. Did I give you the definition of poise? It's really nice. Poise means a graceful and elegant bearing in a person. A graceful and elegant bearing in a person, or to be, or cause to be balanced, poise. So that poise, I'm saying, comes from the way we work, the attitude in which we work, and the way that we're connected to our dharma or a service. And I have a few points here from one of the quintessential books on Bhakti Yoga, which say that when you are engaged in service that is unmotivated and uninterrupted, then you'll feel complete satisfaction of the self. That is, you're doing service that's unmotivated and uninterrupted. And by unmotivated, it means you're not doing it for reward seeking. I'm not doing it because I'm getting paid. I want to do something in return. And before you think I'm telling you to quit your job, I'll talk about that in a second, how to work and maintain yourself, pay the bills and everything, but at the same time, to add this element of unmotivated and uninterrupted. And the other point is that you can be in it all the time. It's not just occasional. You stay absorbed in that Sanatan Dharma of service always. So we hear this all the time, that it's better to give than receive. It feels better to give than to receive because that's our nature. We're natural givers, And how do people react? Like if you're standing, let's say, somewhere and a child came up to you very sincerely and gave you a marble. I mean, how much does a marble cost? But gave it with such love, sincerity, just appreciation, and handed you a marble. How would you feel? You say, kid, this is worth nothing. Get out of here. Why'd you give me this? How would you feel? What transpires there? Who can say? Let's hear a few of your thoughts.
Thankful.
You feel thankful. Can you describe any emotion that comes along with that?
Love.
So these are, love is a metaphysical term also. It's beyond the physical. And how is that generated from a marble? You might think, well, marble's useless. I can't get anything out of this. But somehow or other, some love came out of it when it was given with higher purpose, and it's given in such an innocent way. There was no thought, I want something in return. Give me $1 for this. Would there be a difference if the child handed you the marble and said, give me $1?
Yes.
So it's amazing, actually, and what it would generate, that love that you feel, that thankfulness you feel, there's gratitude, there's all kinds of metaphysical feelings that come out from that giving. And that's because it's our nature to give and to appreciate the gesture of giving. So
Sheila says warmth was her answer.
Warmth, I like that. Yeah. I mean, where is that warmth where is it coming from? It's coming from our nature. So these wisdom literatures are pointing to the fact that this is where happiness comes from. Satisfaction doesn't come just necessarily from things. I'll point out this principle. If you get money, but you don't know what to do with it, it does not bring happiness. Versus if you know what to do with money, even a little bit can make you happy. So what do you think I mean by that? And I'm going to read it again. I'd just like to hear your thoughts. If you get money, but you don't know what to do with it, it does not bring you happiness. Can anybody think of a scenario where that could be the case? And I'm trying to prove something here. So let your minds go on this. What do you feel about that? If you get money, but you don't know what to do with it, it does not bring happiness. Can you think of a scenario where that might be demonstrative?
Yeah, I was just thinking about if I have money lying in the bank, it's not of any value because it's not adding to day my life, unless it's probably giving only a small comfort that I have something as an insurance, so that I have something for future, but it's not changing anything in today's circumstances. But if I know a person who is in need for $10 and he's missing his flight, he lost his wallet, if I give him that $10, that would probably give me a happiness that I help somebody and it is of some use, and it makes somebody do his job. So there's this internal some satisfaction I'll get. So just
Ooh, that's interesting. It generated satisfaction. And if I understand you correctly, you're saying it's more than you looking at your bank statement regularly and saying, okay, it's still there.
Right, correct.
No, and hopefully it is. And Jay said something. He said, when you perceive scarcity. What do you mean by that, Jay?
So it's part of it. You have this perception if you're aware of something that you don't have, and it could be something that you don't have. It could be something somebody else doesn't have. So when you see that there's scarcity, if you think that there's scarcity, you feel there's scarcity, then that motivates you to feel like there's something that needs to be done to fix that scarcity.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I didn't look at it like that before. I like that a lot. One of the ways there's been a measure of this phenomena is with lottery winners. Somebody gets a windfall, a big one, but really doesn't have a purpose in life for spending it, for service especially. And they get smothered by it. I mean, how could that happen? The idea that money can solve a lot of problems actually in many ways is disproved by that. If somebody has an addiction and they get lots of money, it sort of increases that tendency to just abuse substances or whatever because you have more facility, right? So it's really not the thing that we get that makes us happy, but the purpose we have behind it. The purpose that we have behind it. And I just use money because it's a symbol of things. We've traded in our time and so forth, our life energy to get it. And then it represents some kind of a vote. We get dollar votes. I studied economics once, and one of the terms I took away was dollar votes. Money means you get to vote for things. I want to go here or there, you're voting. Okay, so with that in mind, what would you say, just as don't think really hard on this, but just say, what is the best use of money? What would you say? If you're filling out you're getting ready you're in an interview for the best job of your life and they want to know what's the best use of money, what would you say? Take the interview away. That adds too much pressure. Just tell me what you think. What would you just say? Learn a new skill. Amalik, thank you. To provide more options. Wolf, yeah. Comfort from BM Bar. Education, Subhadra. Best use of money. Health. Benjamin Franklin said that. Use the money that's in your pocket to fill up your head and it'll fill up your pockets again. Health. Buy happiness. Nice. Freedom. How do you buy happiness? The Beatles said it years ago, probably 1967, can't buy me love. Can't care for those around you, family. Make a difference. Sense of financial security. Help others. Rejection. Well, there's a lot of what metaphysical sounding things. Share with others and solve some necessities. Yeah, these are nice. It's the crux. Money is a tool that can be used to help you and your loved ones have the basic necessities, and it can be a tool to help others be better. Thank you. Nice one.
We do have a few from Facebook as well.
Okay.
Rati Manjari says, eradicate ignorance. Harini Priya says, invest wisely. Freedom. So yeah, those are some of the things coming on Facebook as well.
Okay. Well, interestingly, to me, one of the secrets of karma yoga is to think about this ahead of time before you start earning money. Because as I already discussed, if you get money but you don't know what to do with it, it doesn't bring happiness. So one of the techniques that's mentioned in these ancient wisdom literatures for developing a sense of poise and becoming balanced, even amidst turbulence, is being very clear about what you're going to do with the money that you earn. And that means that especially the recommendation is use some of it, at least a portion of it, for a higher cause, the highest cause you can think of. Try to identify that. What's the highest cause you can think of right now? And use a portion, whatever portion you can afford, and maybe just a tad more than you can, and use that for a higher cause, the highest cause you can think of. Then when you're working, you'll actually have a different experience. The work won't feel oppressive because you have a much higher purpose in mind. You're aligned. So when you give a portion of your earnings to some good cause, you'll remember that you're working for a good cause. You'll feel connected. You'll develop a tendency to want to also go to the next level of giving, whether you're conscious of it or not. And this is actually a principle mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Yajna Pratishtita. Through this kind of giving, you start to develop a taste for giving more. And paradoxically, or counterintuitively, by giving we grow. And so this is called karma yoga. Gradually, a little bit at a time, I use my work as a means for giving for a higher cause. And that engenders this poise or balance within. It's a real thing, actually. So that's the first principle of meditation, is karma yoga. Use your work as a meditation. You realize your higher self by giving for a higher cause. And you start to notice more and more about yourself as being different from the mind and body. Because the mind and body are mostly in survival mode. There's a sense in nature that if I don't protect myself at every second, and I also don't accumulate so much wealth that I can block out the sun with piles of money, that I won't survive in this world. But actually, sadhus, or people who have this dependence, not on money, but just on doing the right thing and doing service, survive perfectly well. In fact, I can attest to the feeling of it. I lived in the earlier part of my life. From the time I was 16, I lived in an ashram as a monk for 13 years, and I didn't have a bank account. When I emerged, when I was 29 years old, the government had no idea who I was because I really didn't have any transactions with the world. And I must say that I can attest to the fact that it was not a burden at all. In fact, the first time I realized that you had to pay for telephone service, back before cell phones, that is, and then you had to pay for a lot of other stuff, and where do you get the money for these things? It was a revelation to me. And so just the principle is there, that we get our clarity, or from clarity of what the purpose of money is and how to use it when it comes in, we start to develop a sense of self-realization. JM, any comments rolling in while I'm going on and on here?
Yes, so there are two, one on Zoom from C and Keller. Money is a tool that can be used to help you and your loved ones that have basic necessities, and then it can be a tool to help others be better. And then there is one more on, or two more on Facebook. One is Rohan saying, systematically distributing wisdom to transform others so that they can become connected to ultimate source of happiness. And Janaki says, whenever my anxiety around money increases, I have found that when I give a donation, the anxiety goes away.
Ooh, now that's a good testimonial. That's interesting, actually. And it really goes to the point. It's anecdotal, but it goes to my point, and it goes to the point I'm bringing out from the Bhagavad Gita, and that is from yajna, or making a sacrifice for a higher cause. You feel satisfaction. You feel poise. It comes from within. Here's a proverb: if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for lifelong, help someone. Ooh, nice one. I like that a lot. Very nice. Okay, the second aspect of working in the world as a meditation is to work in sattva. Sattva is the highest modality in nature. There's three modes. The highest is sattva. And the middle mode is rajas. It means intense endeavor, many desires, and working very hard. And tamas means inertia, darkness, sleep, intoxication, no motivation, depression, and things like that. And then sattva is illumination. And here are the qualities that are listed in the Bhagavad Gita for someone who's in sattva. See if you can relate to any of them. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and dharma, doing the right thing. These are the natural qualities by which the brahmanas work. A brahmana means one who's situated with a spiritual ideal in mind, beyond just working for a reward, but they're doing for a higher purpose. Again, peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and dharma. These are the natural qualities by which the brahmanas work. And so the next aspect of working in the world, and at the same time having poise, even in turbulent times, become a civil engineer. And we're not talking about somebody who works with dams, but I'm using the word civil as the base for the word civility. And if you develop a kind of civility as you work, and they're indicated by many of the qualities I just read, then you also naturally develop this kind of poise and peacefulness within. Here are a few ways in which the wisdom literatures talk about civility. Give credit where credit is due. Give credit where credit is due. When you appreciate what's good in others, you're not envious of them. There's not this constant sense of competition that I'm just trying to outdo everybody else, but you think give credit where credit is due. When you work in that modality, then you start to take on the good qualities of others. And interestingly, you're not as agitated as before. Why not let others shine and appreciate them, right? Subhadra's nodding her head. What about that did you appreciate, Subhadra?
Well, I often get jealous of others because of their good qualities. And I do find that if I glorify them or say nice things about them out loud, then I feel better.
It doesn't hurt, right?
No.
Yeah. It's amazing too, because there's this little creature inside that says, nah, don't let them get ahead. You know, why should they shine and not you? But if you bypass the little creature and give credit where credit is due, then you as you work, as you're moving in the world, you start to notice a higher principle in sattva.
I was just on the same point. I was thinking like when you're playing games and you're part of a team and your teammate does, a good serve or maybe a good hit, etc., then you naturally clap and encourage them because you see that they're part of the team and you generally feel happy. So I think you just have to expand from what you are to being a part of an extended team and just appreciate everyone. Then in turn, you feel happy.
That's because your son beats you in table tennis all the time. Right?
Yes.
I've heard that, Jan. Listen to these quotations about civility. I think you'll like them. Just hearing them helps to center the mind. I think you're really going to like these. Civility is claiming and caring for one's identity, needs, and beliefs without degrading someone else's in the process. I'll say it again. Civility is claiming and caring for one's identity, needs, and beliefs without degrading someone else's in the process. And here's another one. Civility is about more than just politeness. Although politeness is a necessary first step, it is about disagreeing without disrespect, seeking common ground as a starting point for dialogue about differences, listening past one's preconceptions, and teaching others to do the same. Civility is the hard work of staying present, even with those with whom we have deep-rooted and fierce disagreements. It is about negotiating interpersonal power such that everyone's voice is heard and nobody's is ignored. Does that sound like the zeitgeist of the world today and what we see in the public? No, I won't go there. Let's just say, let's hear what any reactions you have are to these statements about civility. What does it, does it resonate with you, the ideas here? Civility is claiming and caring for one's identity, needs, and beliefs without degrading someone else in the process. Agree. Okay. How civil of you. Any other thoughts? You can put them in the chat box. Just how it resonated, how it sits with you. Does it sound commonsensical? Yes.
Gopijan on Facebook says, in therapy, these insights on civility sounds a lot like resolving core conflicts of the self.
Core conflicts of the self. That sounds like a title to your new book, Janaki. Resolving core concepts of the self. I like that a lot. Yes. The point here is that when we act in sattva, in a higher mode, we learn to have respect, to see beyond differences, even as we deal with them. There's a way in which we develop a higher sense of ourself and we develop stability. rather than trying to force it and force our point of view and so forth, which generally isn't that successful, just by bullying or just by force.
M. Partha says being open and respectful of fellow humans. And
Nice.
Bianca says education really promotes competition.
Is it Blanca or Bianca?
Blanca, sorry, Blanca.
Blanca, education really promotes competition. What do you mean by that, Blanca?
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was in mute. What I mean is when I listen to all these definitions, it's they're nice and they're like they sound very nice, but actually, if I reflect like in my life, is I come from a I'm gonna call it middle class sort of background or lower middle class. So it's always you have to fight for things. You have to, like you have to compete because only the best will get the opportunity, or only only the privileged or the privileged already have a jump start like compared to you, right? So you have to make a big effort. And I don't know, it's like for me, like all these nice definitions make sense, but it's only that it's not been the reality probably for me. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does, because there's a natural competition in the environment of this world for survival. And there's always this sense, and I get it a lot in the corporate world, that if you don't watch out for yourself, nobody else is going to watch out for you. You really have to move up. Maybe it's there in higher education as well. At the university level, I know that there's sense of competition and so forth. And
it's really like people that sort of excel are the ones getting the jobs, getting the I don't know, the money, resources, or the projects or whatever. So really, and when you think of principles and in this case civility, I would prefer, like, to be honest, like I would prefer working with somebody with civility rather than working with somebody that's really knowledgeable and really, technology wise, very, I don't know, very good, but really difficult to talk to or to sort of understand that we are people and not, or we're humans and not machines and that kind of thing. So it's really like education and society at the end of the day that promotes and rewards even I would say competition rather than being civil and that kind of thing.
I see what you're saying. And then, however, you mentioned that you appreciate the quality of civility. You'd rather work with somebody with these qualities than somebody who's arrogant or bullying or just has knowledge and then doesn't have the qualities of civility. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And I agree with you. There's a natural way that that's the default mode. The default mode becomes unabated competition without instilling or inculcating civility. And that's one of the points, that when there is an awareness of where actual happiness, peace, poise, grace comes from, and those become the standard values, then it's a superior way of working. In groups, organizations, teams that excel, generally these kinds of values somewhere or another are inculcated. And nonetheless, there are scenes of competition and so forth. However, being civil doesn't necessarily mean at the same time that one becomes a doormat. When you do the right thing, ultimately the reward is always there. That's the idea in the wisdom literatures. And if somebody is expedient and they bypass truthfulness, they bypass all of these kinds of qualities that I mentioned in the beginning, that there's always a consequence. There's a consequence to everything. Whatever we do, the ways that we think, the ways that we treat others always circle back. And this universe is a self-correcting universe, according to the Bhagavad Gita and other wisdom literatures, that it's meant to refine us. So whatever the way we mishandle or roughly handle others will ultimately come back to us in some way, so that we start to become more sensitive and think, well, maybe I should be more civil. In the meantime, it's not necessarily that one should simply accept bullying or give up one's personal rights. But there's a way to do it. The wisdom literatures say that is civil even at the same time. And one of the mantras that I often recite is to be methodical but dispassionate. Even in the midst of dealing with rough people, be methodical but dispassionate. Because even in the talk we had here earlier this year about nonviolent communication, it means that you get what you want ultimately, but you learn how to speak nonviolently, and you also learn how to control your senses when you're speaking to people. If you notice, if you become angry, sometimes what they say, you lose your anger. I lost it. And then you speak. Is it more precise and effective than when you're methodical about it, but dispassionate? You know what the right thing is and you express it, but you do it in such a way that it doesn't exacerbate the situation, and you bring it to a higher level. Yeah, your points were very insightful. Thank you for bringing those up. Okay, let's see if there's one or two more comments. I saw some activity on the board there before I move to the next point.
Yeah, so Ram mentions that doing the right thing may take you longer, but it's worth the wait. And Pawan says, I like the universe. This universe is self-correcting, and things will circle back.
Right. I mean, that's part of this idea of being very clear in the beginning about what are the consequences of my activity. And we've talked a lot here about how subtle things manifest into growth things later. Nobody gets away with anything, ultimately. Everything that we do has to do with our own integrity. Our strength comes from our own integrity. And there's a power in that. Expediency, dishonesty, all these types of ways of exploiting the world ultimately come back to us. Okay, so moving on to the third part. Yes, JM, one more.
No, you can move on.
Okay, one more I have here. This is a very practical step that I listed here, hopefully, and that is to craft a daily routine to stay grounded. Stay grounded by a daily routine. And there's well, let me ask a question to start with. What makes for a better day in your life? Doing whatever your senses tell you to do, or making a plan to work deliberately? What makes for a better day in your life? Doing whatever your senses tell you to do all day long, or making a plan to work deliberately?
We have Sheila saying balance of both. Gene says structure is better. Plan, making a plan. There are lots of plan, of course. So lots of words for plan, for sure.
Well, somebody who's a plan advocate, I'd like to hear your reasoning behind it. Why are you saying that a plan is better? And Sheila can tell us why she thinks both is better. That was also very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see, pick somebody who said plan and you can.
Ankita, Ram, or Maricela, Rajesh, or Amalek.
Well, Marcella, let's hear, what do you say? Why a plan is better?
I was in mute. Well, for me, it feels better when I have a plan because at the end, I am more conscious about how I am using my time.
Ooh, I like that. You're more conscious about, you're measuring against something, right? Yeah, there's a famous line in Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
Oh, that's one of my favorite movies.
Is it really?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
amazing.
You and me both. Oh, good. Okay. Let's see what else, JM. Anybody else have any responses we can take?
Yeah, so M. Partha says feeling of accomplished or productive things get done as planned.
Okay.
Pankaj says daily plan could be the difference between failure and success for me. So at the end, at the end of the day, what you feel like you feel accomplished, successful, or failure. Sheila says it's good to have a plan, but things happen. So we have to go with the flow or follow our own instinct.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris says having a plan is like having your thoughts pre-selected and therefore your day is less sporadic.
Less sporadic. I'm taking sporadic as a pejorative. Well, this is one of the very specific points that's given in wisdom literatures, yoga, and working in throughout life with a balance by planning one's life around a higher sense of what one should be doing rather than just letting the senses take us wherever we want to go leads to happiness. It sounds counterintuitive because the idea it's like I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it any old time tends to go into a default mode that tends to take us into a ditch somewhere. Whereas this idea of a hierarchy, this is given in the Bhagavad Gita that the senses are on the lowest side of the hierarchy, and that above the senses is the mind, above the mind is the intellect, and above the intellect is us, who are non-neural, non-chemical, non-temporal. We're not the same category as the body. We're consciousness. We're not material. And we're actually the observer, the one who's in the body, animating the body. So if the senses do whatever they want to do, and they're the lowest ones on the hierarchy, and the mind or the intellect doesn't get involved, like the intellect doesn't say, well, it sounds good, but I can tell you right now, it's not a good idea. Remember last time you did that? That's a kind of thing coming, an idea coming from the higher realm of the hierarchy. And so if we use our intelligence to make a plan that's tried and true, and we stick to the plan, then there's a way in which we can stay grounded on a daily basis. So Sheila's point is well taken. Stuff happens. Plan doesn't always go according, but balance doesn't necessarily mean you're perfectly still. It means you know how to pull back to the center. You know where the center is. So when we're planning our day, if we plan it around principles that are given for helping us develop ourselves both physically and mentally, spiritually, and we stick to the plan rather than the default that the senses want to go to, then the point is we can remain grounded and we can stay in the eye of the hurricane. That's where it's peaceful. Outside it's raging, but you have to go to the center. So regulation of senses is another point that's made in the Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere. The senses, if you do the same things at the same time, generally the major things, like sleeping at the same time, waking up at the same time, very helpful for controlling the senses and staying above the fray. and also eating at regular times and doing one's work at regular times. If you can stay regulated, it very much helps. Keeping a journal and not wasting time. It's so precious. I like to compare this to, in my garden, the automatic watering system that I installed years ago. And even when I'm traveling, it turns, the water turns on and gives the right amount of water to the plants at the right time, because I thought about it ahead of time. So when I have a drip system going, especially in these lockdown situations, it can be a little bit seem tedious. You're in the same room every day. I'm relating to any of my prisoner friends who are in jail, like, oh, this is how you feel. When I take to a routine and I stay regulated, then I tend to rise above that anxiousness of the senses.
We have 5 more minutes. Do you want to quickly show the October Spiritual Fitness
Sorry, I
Challenge?
have a question.
Go ahead, Alexa.
If I
Yes,
may ask.
please.
Yeah. So where does intuition come in this? What I have read and what I've understood is sometimes you have to plan for unplanned time so that you can let the universe talk to you, inspire you, motivate you, rather than being planned, because now you're so structured that you're never having time to listen to that inner voice that is guiding you. Maybe if you can share some thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's inevitable. There's ways in which our plans, I've noticed my plans usually don't come out the way I thought they would, but at least I have one to measure by. And then when I do get those voices or the voice spoken to me through destiny or through the way the world moves against my plan, then I can readjust my plan in a reasonable way instead of just being pushed around. There's a way in which just not having any plan, I mean, that is a lifestyle, but it's in the beginning practices of spiritual life, it's called vidhi, or having some rules through which you can develop spontaneity later on. In the beginning, if you just do whatever you want, because the senses are in a particular default mode, they drag you in a certain way. So my spiritual master used to give this analogy as if you're ill and you go to a physician, she may tell you, okay, you're going to have to not eat such and such stuff for the next, these foods are out of your diet for the next 2 weeks. And so then, if I follow that, then I'll start to develop my health again. So it's not spontaneous. I'm not doing whatever I want. But then later on, once I develop my health, then I can come back to more spontaneous type of eating if I want to. So,
yes, that makes sense.
Oh, it does.
Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm so happy. All right, now JM is going to show you the list of body, mind, and spirit. This is a very simple program. It may not be easy, but it's simple. That's why we put the word challenge on it. But you can go to the website. I'll let you take over here, JM.
And there are activities you can do on for body, how you can maintain a good body, regulating sleep, eating healthy, and having some walk or activities, physical activity daily, or what activities you can do for mind, waking up to an affirmation as an example. We have a list which we can give, or starting a day with a map. So at least you know what your plan is, what are the most important things, top 3 things you want to achieve for the day. And managing screen time, again, not to get used to just being in front of screen without any purpose. And then activities which help grow you spiritually, including doing mantra meditation. It provides a step-by-step instruction how to do that, performing an act of selfless service, and keeping a gratitude journal. So these are the activities which are part of this spiritual fitness challenge. Would you like to add anything more?
Jean would like you to put the website URL in the chat window.
Yes, I will. Anything else?
I have a question. You mentioned affirmations, and then you said we can provide you a list if you like.
Yes.
Is that automatic, or do they have to ask for it?
Sure, I can add that in the tracker itself. So when you participate in the challenge, you'll get a link to the affirmation. So I'll have that both in the website as well as tracker. So To participate, you just have to go to Spiritual Fitness Tracker. You can submit your progress online. So if you click on it, you will see that the actual tracker opens, which gives the link. I will have the affirmation link added here. You can give your email. You can choose whether you want to share with others or just keep it anonymous. Then for each of these activities on a daily basis, as you perform them, you can keep selecting it on a daily basis for body, mind, and spirit activities, and also maintain gratitude journal as well. So that's very helpful for your own as well as inspiring others. And you can submit. Once you submit, what you'll notice is that you will get an email back indicating your response has been recorded. And once your response has been recorded, you'll get an email back. Thanks for filling out. If you want to edit the next day, you can always click edit response, go back to the tracker again, and then you can see what you previously selected. That will be there, and you can select for future days as well.
Okay, so that's actually how you fill it in every day is you put edit.
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
so it's not like you think of editing. I'm going back to edit what I did, but actually it's built into the system that you push the edit button and then that lets you do the next day.
Yeah, on a
Okay.
daily basis. That's right. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm putting the link on the Zoom chat.
Amelia wants to know what the score is about. What does that mean?
Sure. So let me quickly go back. So basically, each of these activities that you perform, there is a count to that. Each spiritual activities have more weightage than activities of body and mind. And depending on which activities you have performed, the body, mind, and spirit scores get automatically calculated, and you have a total score. And your gratitude journal also gets shared depending on whether you're choosing to share or not. And this is just to motivate to perform higher value activities. So that's the reason the respective scores are there.
Yeah, we tried it both ways, and most of the people said, yeah, it's fun to have scores. It just helps you to keep for your own, you can notice for your own edification how you're doing, and it keeps you kind of motivated towards the practice.
Yeah. And once you submit, it may take a day for it to reflect for the first time, but after that, it'll reflect instantly. So it's just for the first time, you may have to wait for a date for it to reflect.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Sure. Anything else you want to more add?
Yeah, we should end with a song. So I'm going to sing a mantra before we all check out. And then JM will put the Maha Mantra up, and I'll sing one time the mantra. So we walk away with the mantra in our heart, in our mind.
Sure.
So I'll sing it, and then I'll come back the second time, and you can repeat if you like to the tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, everybody. I really enjoyed being with all of you today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, please keep the transcendental vibration going, and remember, where attention goes, energy flows.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. Good to see you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Mantango, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. Your questions are great. Marciela, fantastic. Guire Luba, Monica, thank you. Shiv Kumar, thank you. Anna, Jamie, Denise, hey, Greem, Estata, Rashmi, thank you. Thank you for being here. See you all soon.